Hi there to you all. I thought that I would do a collective reading today. I haven't done one for so long, so let's see how this goes. I got a card which I felt was quite poignant to my life, to be honest with you. It says breathe, relax and let that shit go. This was a beautiful client of mine that sent me around about 5 packs of cards, and she sent them to me because her friend had sadly passed away, and her friend wanted the cards to go to somebody that would be able to put them to good use. So I thought, in memory of her friend, we would use those cards today and see what came through for everybody. So let's start. What's coming in for the collective? What's coming in for the collective? Got that in a challenge. 8 of water for stagnation. We've got the 9 of water for joy underneath it. Collective's current energy. I'll just get all of these cards out and then I will start to read them. We've got the stag and that is reversed as well. Move on to these oracles. Collective's energy. Let's get some more. Collective's current energy. Okay. We've got nice guy on the bottom of the deck, okay? So let's read into what's coming up for the collective right now. We've got the 8 of water in stagnation. That's in your challenge position. I can't bloody talk properly. We've got be courageous. We've got wise one, grow within your current situation. Unleash the wild within. We've got disappointment, dance, reversed. We've also got community reversed. Bloody hell. Let's dig into this. You guys, I would say, have got some sort of like held in emotions when it comes down to wish fulfillments. You might have had an obstacle that you needed to apprehend. You may have found yourself drowning in your emotions sometimes as well, and sometimes feeling like you're not actually healing some of these things. You're just finding that life is kind of passing you by. You may have been in the past fighting against resistance when it came down to a partnership that wasn't that good for you. Not only that, this can be also assuming friends, acquaintances, work colleagues that you may have felt, oh, this is a nice person, and then found out that potentially they are not, okay? You can't thrive in the environment. You probably found that you couldn't thrive in an environment in the past because all of these cards are indicative of the past. You probably found as well that somebody fails to reach out and apologize when they're doing things that are wrong towards other people, which may have ultimately resulted in you indulging. You may have indulged when it comes down to your emotions. You may have also tried to find distraction techniques. Also, you may have found that you're overindulging when it comes down to food. You may be eating your feelings. We've all been there before, me included. And I feel like when you eat your feelings, it's normally because you're feeling quite overwhelmed with what's happening in your life for your current circumstances. So let's go over the 8 of water and stagnation. So yeah, there's definitely something professionally going on here when it comes down to your life as well. You may find as well that you want in life to treat you well, but you may be finding when it comes down to your work, there's something that you've probably had to leave behind, where you've found that everything that you've invested has probably surmounted into something where you felt like, what was the point in investing in that? You may have found that it came down to a lover as well, somebody who you thought potentially could have been good for you, especially with the King of Pentacles, which is Capricorn energy. This could just be a person that provided you with an element of stability and also made you feel quite special. If this isn't to do with a person in your life, this can also be indicative of you yourself wanting to grow professionally, wanting to grow when it comes down to your certificates, your achievements. You may want a victory when it comes down to graduation, when it comes down to education, especially when we've got the Six of Wands being there as well. So you're looking for a turning point in your life. You're wanting to come home to yourself, and at the same time you're wanting to accomplish something when it comes down to having some sort of luck in your life. Especially Jupiter in Leo is usually speaking about wanting to be seen first and foremost, wanting to be put on the platform that you are deserving of being on. I need some tissue. 1 second, guys. Yeah, so you may be looking for a potentiality of being looked at in a victorious way, and probably found that there's been some sort of disappointment that's happened in your life. Currently, for the collective, we've also got another lady on the horse here as well, which is actually quite crazy, because if you look at this, right, we've got the Six of Wands. She's on a horse. She's being adorned by an understanding of other people being around her, or him, you, in a victorious way, and having a lot of cheerleaders, people that are wishing you well, people that want you to do well in your life. Then we've got the number 8 underneath it. Be courageous. Another person on a horse, which is about your liberation. Again, another horse with the King of Wands, okay? So you may be finding that you are quite a victorious person, and you've got somebody around you that may want to dominate other people, okay? You might find that you're needing to tap into your optimism. Sorry, I'm purging. You may not be able to understand weakness in other people, but you also may be around other people that find it difficult to understand when something's difficult for another person, okay? So I would definitely say there's some sort of social status that is going to be changing around for you, and you're probably finding that that's happening already. If you are under the energy of a person that is dominating you, you may find that they are naturally narcissistic as well. You may need to be courageous in standing up for yourself and not tolerating people who try to come and dominate and tread over what you've already built for yourself. Because we've got the Aries and Leo there, fire energy, wanting to be placed first, needing the attention, having that spark of exuberance that wants people to see the passion and dedication that they have, as opposed to their opponent. Now, when I say opponent, it means that somebody is being slightly competitive when it comes down to you, okay? But you may need to be embracing the she-wolf energy, which is speaking about being a lone ranger. Yeah. Ace of Swords, which is the truth. When it comes down to the world as well, this is basically speaking about needing to do some sort of healing, but it could be effective if you do the healing on your own. You will find that the energies in your life will all start to flow very easily in your life the second that you start to understand that you've had somebody around you that's quite dominating, that wants to confuse you, oppress you. You may find that there's an emotional situation as well where you're finding it difficult to pierce through the fog. You will this week, most definitely, especially if it comes down to your discipline, your responsibility and your limitations, which falls under Saturn and Capricorn, which is under the world. So this is basically speaking about you needing to pierce through any forms of lies that have been told to you in your life, any sort of illusions that have been placed around you. It's now for you to understand that you can trust your own subconscious energy. Your subconscious energy has refined itself enough to be able to see through tactics, see through abuse. You will be able to bring to the surface any repressed anger, but that repressed anger may need to come out via somatic healing, somatic dance, movement of the body, okay? Especially when we've got the chakras here, which is showing up under 57, so it's 12. It's like you've got 3 chakras that may need healing in your life. See, so it's like when I've gone over the chakras, I've got some clarifiers when it comes down to that, and we've got the Lovers here, which is your conscious and subconscious trying to unite with each other, trying to understand each other. It's just down to you to allow this to happen. But like I said, you may have some sort of change that's occurred in your life which has evoked some sort of feelings of sadness, depression, and this could be remaining and hidden from conscious view, but it's definitely happening because it's subconsciously affecting you and influencing your life. So I would say that you're trying to regain some sort of emotional balance, but you may find that because of the restrictions that have been placed around you and the changes that have happened in your life, the sadness and the depression may be the ultimate thing that is really difficult for you to be able to see through to reality and pierce through the illusions into facts and understanding of your circumstance. You may find as well that the community around you is not susceptible to growth as well. Yes, sensing that something's ended. So when it comes down to your community, there may be some people who you need to leave alone. You may need to form a distance between you and a community of people. This was hidden as well. So you may have found yourself in a position where you've wanted to procrastinate and hide away from people, whereas you're being directed by the universe to return to the world, okay? You might be finding that there is a cautiousness about you when it comes down to the community, or a cautiousness that comes around you when it comes down to people outside of your immediate family, immediate people who you may have thought loved you before, but have shown you the tendencies of delivering you to an unstable situation. So you may be trying to find more fulfillment in your life, especially emotionally speaking, and you may be trying to find your community of people, and you may be finding that quite difficult as well at this present moment in time. Probably because of all of the bad news that's been happening, especially current affairs, but not only that, I'm noticing a lot of people are getting a lot of complicated situations happening when it comes down to their families as well. So I want you to know that you're not alone. You never will be alone. Half of the time of people going through problems, there's usually another how many hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the world that are going through the same circumstances as you. Could be worse, could be better. Either way, we are in the same boat in some way, shape or form. It's just that sometimes we fail to see it because we are so swallowed up in some of the pains that we are going through in our own life. So you may be finding as well that there's a lack of discipline when it comes down to your life and when it comes down to flowing into things that you naturally find yourself gravitating towards. You may find yourself that you have taken projects up and abandoned these projects as well. You may find that you are trying to currently regain your element of self-awareness and probably finding it quite difficult to tackle that element of your life as well. You may be finding through that lack of self-awareness, or through the people around you who have a lack of self-awareness, you may be finding that this brings destructive qualities from people around you in your life, which is creating a form of a challenge, a disappointment. You may be finding that sleep is a little bit of a myth for you right now. It might be quite difficult for you to be able to sleep. You might have a lot of things, mental pain, things happening in your life, but it also may be something happening to somebody that you love as well currently. I would say that you're probably a person that's quite a bit of an empath. You may struggle with your mental health sometimes as well, but what I would say is that it's important for you to not take on all of the sorrows of the world. Easier said than done, but I would definitely say that protective light around your body right now, and also praying to something higher than you, would probably help you moving forward, especially with this disappointment that you seem to be feeling in your life. We've also got Mars in Gemini as well, so there could be some fights and conflicts happening in the family. It could also be a lover, it could be a work acquaintance. Regardless, there's some sort of rustling energy under the surface here that is forming an element of sorrow in your life. We've also got the wise one, which is speaking about growing within your current situation. So you may be finding that your wisdom, your psychic talents, your empathic abilities are developing, right? You may be thinking about going to a person who is, I wouldn't say higher than you, but they are wiser than you. They have wisdom underneath their belt. You may be wanting to go into some sort of private studies to learn more about your psychic talents, or you may be just a student wanting to develop your abilities as well. You're being told with the Fool energy is about your freedom and your openness to life, because I can see resistance here, but you may need to start opening yourself up to life, and understanding as well that there is no agenda sometimes with people, especially if it comes down to you and you don't have no agenda when it comes down to people. Yes, you may find with the 12th house here as well that you are starting to look into when people do have agendas, and that may be a little bit unnerving for you, but there is a wise person around you, or a person who you are attracted to speaking to, who is a wise person, who will ultimately help you to be able to navigate through this challenging time. So that's what's happening currently. Okay, let's get some more cards here for you guys. Let's see what you're leaving behind. What are the collective leaving behind? You're leaving behind fights, competition, conflicts with people. You're leaving behind people that get a thrill out of having some sort of conflict with you. You're probably finding that the competitive energy as well with people is something that you are not wanting to divulge into. So you're probably avoiding that. You're leaving behind any sort of people that are bringing abusive powers towards the table, which may be navigating you into uncertainty, because we did see that before. You may be also finding that you're getting appreciation within yourself for stepping on top of boundaries that people have placed around you and creating your own footsteps when it comes down to life. You may be finding that the flow outside of yourself have stopped you sometimes within your life. So it's your inner resilience, I would say, that you are trying to adopt, and you're trying to leave behind any form of procrastination, competitive energy, people doing things to try to get a reaction out of you. You're leaving behind gossip as well. You're also leaving behind anything when it comes down to your 7th house, which is your Mercury in Gemini. So that's your messages with regards to people who are meant to have a sustainable place in your life, especially with the Hanged Man, which is speaking about having an inner peace after a difficult time. So you're trying to find an inner peace within yourself where nobody outside of you can rock that. So what you're leaving behind is people that are bringing in conflictive energies into your life. That's the best way I can put it to you. If people are bringing you conflictive energies, you're probably finding that you are retorting to come away from those people. You don't want to be around them. Okay, so let's see what the main theme is for the week ahead. Let's get these cards for now. What is the main theme for the collective for the week ahead? High Priestess. No, it's not the High Priestess, it's the High Priest. So this is intention and creating things as well. Underneath the deck, we've got the Spiritual Fox. Trusting in your talents in challenging times. In changing times, actually. I said challenging, so maybe there is some challenge around you. But there is some sort of change that is happening around you, but your intentions, your manifestation. And also I've got the Archangel Metatron. That's what I can hear in my head. Archangel Metatron. So this archangel actually helps to heal all of your chakras in your body. It also helps you to be able to see the higher perspective of things. But what I would say is your intentions to create a bigger purpose is something that will help you in your path moving forward right now. So what else is the main theme for the week ahead for the collective? Self-love, working on your self-love. right? So when I get the Ace of Cups, it's usually speaking about the Holy Ghost that is currently working in your life, your receptivity to understanding that the universe is not against you, the universe is actually working for you, but it's for you to actually be able to see that. And as we're speaking about the Holy Ghost, let's get a message from Jesus is calling, okay? I like to use Christ consciousness when it comes down to my prayer and my understanding of myself. I feel when I pray, there is something that happens within me and then starts to come outside of me and shows me in the world why I am being listened to or why my prayers are being listened to. So who is it that you guys choose to pray to? Who is it that you understand has the power above you to help you and direct you in your life moving forward? This is what page I've opened up to, so that's 177. So that adds up to the 15, so it's sixes. If you see any sixes for this week moving forward, you're probably going to be finding there's messages within that for you guys. This is what it says. You are my beloved child. I choose you before the foundation of the world to walk with me along paths destined uniquely for you. Concentrate on keeping in step with me instead of trying to anticipate my plans for you. If you trust that my plans to you will prosper you and not harm you, you can relax and enjoy the present moment. Your hope and your future are rooted in heaven, where eternal ecstasy awaits you. Nothing can rob you of your inheritance or unimaginable riches and well-being. Sometimes I grant you glimpses of your glorious future to encourage you and spur you on, but your main focus should be staying close to me. I set the pace in keeping your needs and my purposes. Okay? So trust. That's the main thing at the moment. Trusting and understanding that through your intentions to give your wishes up to God or give your wishes up to a higher force than you, this is where the challenge no longer becomes a challenge. All doors open for you when it comes down to things that will emotionally fulfill you within your soul, not outside of your soul in another person, within your own soul, okay? So what else is the main theme for the week ahead? They keep falling out on the floor all the time. I have to keep picking them up. Okay, so the main theme again is about not accepting loss. It's about support from people as well. So you may be finding that you are giving into resistance when it comes down to helping yourself to heal from something that was potentially super sad for you, or leaving something behind that you may have invested in emotionally a hell of a lot in your life, okay? So you may find that some sort of destruction in your life was not that important in the long run of things. So you're probably going to be looking back in foresight when it comes down to this week coming ahead, and you will be appreciating what you do have in your life rather than what you don't have in your life. So the main theme is about having gratitude and appreciation for what you do have rather than what you don't have in your life. Also, with the star on the bottom of the deck, it's usually speaking about having hope as well after a storm, because the star comes directly after the tower, and when the tower has been there, it's usually speaking about some sort of chaos, some sort of chaotic circumstances that happened in your life that you couldn't change, but those changes happened and basically changed you within, then changed you outside of your life as well. So you may have found other people's perceptions of you have ultimately changed also. But is that a you problem? I wouldn't really say. I'd say that if people are observing a change within you and they don't like that change, it's usually because they were benefiting from the person who you was before. So I would definitely say that no longer seeking people's approval, but making sure that your heart feels happy with your thoughts, choices and decisions will ultimately help you to push forward and persevere forward for the theme of this week moving forward in your life. So let's see what else, what's hidden that you need to know. Right, let's see what is hidden. What's hidden that the collective need to know? What's hidden that the collective need to know? There's a lot. Bloody hell. An awakening. We've also got concern. We've got surprise reversed. We've got earth angel reversed. We've got house reversed. And we've got confusion and illusion reversed. Let's see what this hidden situation is here. Wow, okay. With the house reversed, and then we've got the Page of Cups. We've also got the Hermit. There's something going on here when it comes down to a child. There's also a mother here that's speaking quite negatively when it comes down to another parent. But at the same time, there is some sort of dishonesty here because we've got the Justice reversed. So there's some sort of dishonest behaviour that has happened that you guys may not know about yet. But there's a child here that is in the same house as you, or may live in a different house with the Hermit as well. You may find that there's a child withdrawing. They may be growing to a place where you are no longer really understanding this child. This is probably because they're going through a transition and an awakening in their lives. So this may be making you feel slightly blocked when it comes down to allowing your child to grow into the authentic person that they actually are. I would also say that there may be some influences around a child that are not effectively helping them to move forward in their life, especially when the house is reversed. So there's something unstable inside of a house that a little girl or a child is around. When it comes with Earth Angel reversed, there is definitely a level of a child or an inner child within you that was feeling slightly unbalanced, okay? But the withdrawal with the Hermit energy may be needing to go within and understanding that some of these traumas have actually stemmed from inside of your childhood, inside of the home. You may not be looking into that, especially with it being hidden. There may also be a child that is hiding something that they're feeling within the house. It could also be a child that's hiding things when it comes down to what's happening at school. You're probably finding as well when it comes down to some people around you may not be trusting themselves in situations, or you are not trusting yourself in situations. There's a child that is noticing that there is something going on with a parent being afraid and phobic and mistrustful of other people as well, okay? So this is like having a loss to connection of animals, a loss to the connection of plants, a loss to the connection of earth. So is there anybody around you that's not going out that much? Is there any family member that you're worried about that procrastinates massively, stays inside of the house? They're going through a transition in their life, but rather than them coming out of the transition feeling more positive, they may be finding that it's taking them under a little bit, meaning it feels a little bit like a dark night of the soul. And when you can't trust yourself when you're going through a dark night of the soul, you tend to go through the dark night of the soul longer than you may have apprehended in the first place. So there's definitely that. What else is hidden? I'm going to have to go collect that now. I'm sorry for knocking the camera as well. I'm still getting used to using this camera. Okay, so yes, there's a child who has got an unattached attitude. You may be finding that there's a form of detachment. Okay, there may be a child that is not wanting you to get too close at the moment because of the things that they are hiding, or because of what is going on with their friends around them. They're going through a transition. It's probably mentally, probably hormonally as well. You're probably finding this transition quite difficult for you as well when it comes down to this child, because it seems to me like somebody's adopting their troubles of the world around them. which is a little bit difficult, and you may be finding that they're not really communicating with you either, so it's quite difficult for you to be able to navigate what's going on. This is why I'm telling you what is happening in the hidden aspect of things when it comes down to a child. If this is your work that you're doing within yourself, you may be finding that you are getting quite detached when it comes down to connecting with the happier version of yourself when you was a child. You may find that quite difficult to be able to connect with at the moment because of some of the sadness that surrounds you. There's somebody around you with the Queen of Cups. It could be a brother, it could be a sister, it could also be somebody who you have grown up with. You've created a lot of fond memories with this person as well. Somebody's going to be coming around you and trying to help you when it comes down to your emotions, but not only that, trying to help you when it comes down to reforming that sibling connection again. So there may be a sibling around you that reaches out to try to give some sort of emotional support, some sort of help when it comes down to things. Not only that though, when it's coming out with like the surprise reversed, you may be finding that you don't actually want to hear from some of these people as well. What I would say is like try to face some of these problems because you definitely have the Page of Wands underneath it, which is saying about having two choices in your life, either dealing with the complexity of the situation by developing your maturity, or you deal with the situation the way it is if you have no inner self-awareness to really help people understand your boundaries and where your boundaries are being overstepped. If you can't do that, you're probably going to be finding that there's somebody around you that's going to try and come to see if they can surprise you, and they may be coming with a lack of hatefulness. It may be coming, presenting themselves in a armor of love for you. You may not receive it that way. These are hidden things that are coming up, okay? So try your best to remember that if you do everything with love, other people tend to start following suit when you follow an example and don't allow people to deter you off that path. Another hidden thing coming towards you is your concern. Your concern when it comes down to conflicts, defensiveness, having like an earlier experience of winning something and now being on the other end of the foot where you're actually losing something. So I would say that somebody around you who is mighty invested in being conflicted towards you is now concerned about the ramifications of their actions because of them feeling this surge of energy when they manage to be able to feed into toxicity when it comes down to you, or when it comes down to them being able to create these illusions and confusions in your life. You may be finding that somebody is actually quite concerned as to whether they're going to be able to defeat you again. With it being hidden, I just want you to understand that you are definitely in a position of strength rather than weakness. So just understand, if anybody is trying to come towards you with this surge of energy to try to be battling you to stay on top, they won't win. They're just not going to win because you're a higher vibration. Which doesn't make it competitive, but it makes you understand that you are protected by things up above and hidden more than you will ever know. So just allow some of these concerns of yours to be given up to God, and you will probably find that they are resolved within the 6th day, the latest the 7th day. So that's 7 days from now, okay? Another thing that is hidden from you guys, especially when we've got subconscious energy there with the moon. Your challenge is to not allow your mental health, not allow your hard-working self to divulge into all of these worries where you are not being able to sleep, your mental health's taking a decline. Like, this is a turning point for you guys. Be responsible and take accountability where you've allowed some worries to come into your mind that are not susceptible to growth, but actually make you smaller. My throat just went then as well. You may need throat healing, throat chakra healing, with regards to needing to stand up and speak your truth even when your voice is shaking, because 9 times out of 10 that's when your soul is telling you that you are way more valuable than what you have surmounted yourself up to be. So you need to always remember your value and your worth when it comes down to the world, because there are too many people in the world that will happily tell you that your value is way less than it actually is. You get to deem your value, not other people. Let's see what you should avoid. What should the collective avoid this week? Anybody that is trying to have their ego here. So anybody that has a very high ego, you've got the sun in Leo's energy when it comes down to the strength. So when it comes down to that, it's usually a person that is very conflicted but also needs to win at all costs. They need to win, and God forbid if they don't win, what that would do to their ego and what that would do to their pride and what that would do to their version of what the outside perspective of people would see them to be. Okay, so I would avoid making very highly charged decisions. I would avoid being around people that are like this all of the time. Steady energy is for the win for the week going ahead. I wouldn't say that you need to fix nobody either. Try not to fix anybody. Try to make sure that you're only fixing yourself. You're really helping yourself to get that form of protection over your body, to allow yourself to be adorned in your subconscious energy so you can read situations before situations come towards you. Okay, I would say that you need to avoid making any sort of communication with ex-partners. That's something that you need to avoid. You also need to avoid any sorts of significant decisions when it comes down to your relationships moving forward, especially for this week moving forward as well. You need to avoid anybody that has some sort of negative influence on you when it comes down to any form of changes that you're making in your life. So just pretend you've made a change to not drink anymore. You're not effectively going to need to go out with your friends who love to go out on a Friday and drink. If you are trying to come away from negativity and negative ways of thinking, you're not going to want to be around the friend that's the pessimistic. Do you understand where I'm coming from? It's like these are the things, people and activities that you should be avoiding right now, especially if you're wanting to connect with your subconscious energy and you wanting to stay in a positive mind frame, with the 10 of Cups being there as well. You want to keep away from people, I've just heard, who have really bad habits that they keep on perpetuating, but they keep saying that they want to make change. Anybody that does that usually is looking for a procrastination mate. Somebody to keep on making excuses for not making the change rather than divulging into and diving in deep into those changes. So avoid that as well. What is your spiritual lesson this week, collective? What's your spiritual lesson this week, collective? Your lessons this week are about you being able to have a calm, quiet passage through a difficult time if you want to. It all depends on what you tap into. If you tap into an energy of feeling like you need to be divulging into an argument with people or getting them to understand your perspective when it comes down to certain instances, you're probably going to be finding that your week is quite difficult, filled with challenges. But if you place yourself in an understanding of knowing that sometimes people will abuse their powers to try to override you as well, you need to understand that the spiritual lesson here is that you are not spiritually broke. You are actually spiritually very wealthy. You don't need help outside of yourself when it comes down to the riches that are yours. Nobody can give you the value of yourself but yourself. So if you are looking for your value to be reflected to you outside of yourself and through another person, you're probably going to get disappointed massively. This is about you understanding that it's okay for you to ask for help. It's okay if you're finding that your finances are taking a pivot. It's okay for you to understand that that flow can now come back towards you once you have a better relationship with money. And once you have a better relationship with understanding that abundance is ultimately yours and on your doorstep for you to be able to take. It's just about your perspective and your perception when it comes down to money. So how is your relationship with money? How is your relationship when it comes down to asking people for help? Do you find it very difficult to ask people for help? This is something that you might want to look into as well, because that's a spiritual lesson for you guys to understand that you are just as rich spiritually as the person next to you. And you can also pray for other people as well. You can see other people that are in need, and it's okay for you to pray for them. It's okay for you to want better for them and to send those prayers up into spirit, because they will be heard. So pray for people. That's the spiritual lesson. Understanding that you are not broke. You're actually rich, especially when it comes down to spirituality, and having guides around you that will help you, especially when the flow has stopped outside of your life. It's time to go within. Another spiritual lesson is that sometimes you may have a lot of fantasies. You may have a lot of desires in your life. But what you have to do is connect these things to your outside life. So if you're wanting to manifest things in your life, it's better that you are being super productive when it comes down to enacting these dreams, making something of these fantasies rather than thinking about these fantasies, actually doing something about them as well, connecting these things, adding meaning to things. We've got Venus in Scorpio and we've got the Seven of Cups. So it's about utilizing your desires. What do you love to do? And pouring into that cup of what you love to do. Okay? Another spiritual lesson here is about spiritual warfare, because we've got the voodoo doll here, okay? You may be finding that you may be feeling like some form of spell work has been done onto you, or a divine masculine of yours. When we've got the third party situation reversed, it's a person that's wanting to get some form of abusive tendencies happening into your life. They really want you to go through it. Somebody is sending this energy. What I would say is, with the Seven of Cups, it's a fantasy of a person. So a person has a fantasy for you or somebody around you to go through a destructive time when it comes down to romance. So the person who is going through this form of spell work would ultimately be questioning their relationships. And this energy has been sent by somebody who wanted to be in a third party situation but is not allowed to be involved in a third party situation. So this could be a person who felt like they deserved to be picked. And because they weren't, they then have sent some sort of spell work towards your relationship or towards your potentialities of relationships. So I would say that the spiritual lesson here is to understanding that if something is meant for you, if a person is meant for you, nothing can stop that from happening, because it's something that God wants. I'll leave that one there. Okay. So what else is the spiritual lesson? The other spiritual lesson here, right, is understanding that you don't have to stand in a long-standing hardship with another person who you feel you are not being supported by. You don't have to keep going through a difficult situation with somebody who is not appreciating your presence in their lives, okay? So you may find that there's a long-standing hardship when it comes down to two lovers, or you may be finding that you're observing that with other people, but they're sticking together in a bad situation and not seeing the opportunities for change, but ultimately rejecting a lot of religion, rejecting a lot of understanding that sometimes your prayers can come outside of you and help you in your life moving forward. You may be finding that the spiritual lesson here is about the horse with water. Sometimes you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make the horse drink the water, okay? You need to wise up to understanding when somebody is being manipulative, trying to do things to evoke a reaction from you, especially if you're a person that's quite blissful inside. You're a person that's quite calm within yourself. You're not really used to people bringing in like quite conflicted, difficult energies, especially if you've created the boundaries for yourself to not allow people into your life who treat you in this way. So I would say that there's a lot of change coming into your week ahead, but your spiritual lesson is to understand that you can't help anybody outside of yourself. Sometimes all of that energy of you wanting to help other people is actually your inner child wanting you to show up for yourself that way. And it can be communicated to you outside of yourself via other people, your peers, your predecessors, your work colleagues, your lovers, your family members, your mum, dad. Whether here or up in spirit, you will feel their energy around you, helping you to go forward in your life. So what will be the likely outcome if you follow my advice? If you follow my advice, you will find that your ancestors all start to surround you and help you in your life moving forward. You will find that you are being deterred away from lustful energies, people that come into your life for a good time, not a long time. You'll find that it's more helpful for you when you're going through your awakening. You'll feel a little bit more like clarity is there rather than all of the confusion that we found in the beginning of the reading. You'll find in the distant future that some sort of openness will happen. The road will open for you, so you don't have so much of this uphill inclination of problems that you have to kind of adopt and get over before you get to the sunshine in your life. This is you being liberated. This is your ancestors opening the door and the way for you to be able to move forward in your life, especially if you want to be looked at in a high honor. There is something that you guys are doing in the dark that only God can see. And that's why you're being held in a high honor. You're being held in a cocoon of comfort when it comes down to your elevation away from people who have lustful tendencies, people who only have desires that are for their ego to be stroked, rather than them doing things that will ultimately make their soul really happy. A child as well. So if you follow my advice, you will probably find that there is an outlook, an interesting, introspective input and intellect when it comes down to a child around you. They may be bestowing you on their understandings of emotional maturity. You may be finding that a child actually opens up towards you. This child is angelic, I would definitely say that, very gifted, but also holds in a hell of a lot of emotions. This child may want to know some sort of information when it comes down to a father figure. This child may also look up to a parent around them, but mainly I would say that there is something with regards to a child and their element of safety, how they express themselves and how they move forward in their life being authentic and very true to themselves, that is going to come out to you. This child is going to speak to you about this. Take that with a high honor as well, because when a child emotionally opens up to you, they're usually understanding that you can help them through the problem that they are going through. So I would definitely say keep your ears open, your heart open and your mind open to the people that will be coming around you, if you take my advice anyway, I would say that you will go towards upliftment. Definitely. Wow. But I would definitely say, if you don't know how to relax and flow through some of the difficult times of the week moving ahead, you may find that the universe steps in and makes some of these changes for you. Sorry for the purging, guys. I can't stop it. It happens every time that I'm reading for people. So let's get some more collective guidance for everybody. These are my handwritten cards, but they're amazing actually. Before I went away to Albania, I got a card about something and I thought, that's definitely nothing to do with me. And when I was on the holiday, I started to see exactly why it did have something to do with like my circumstances, like crazily accurate. So these cards are a bit of a godsend for me. Let's see if they can be a godsend for you. Oh. Is there anything else that the collective need to know? Anything else that the collective need to know? Anything else that the collective need to know? Right, I think that's enough. We've got the bottom of the deck. Spoken to your friends and family to get information about you. So somebody's snooping around. I did say something like that to you guys with the collective thing anyway. And 9 times out of 10, when people can't get a reaction out of you, they go around whoever they can who will listen to them to see if they can get some information about you. Usually, it shows me the tendencies of the people around us and the brain capacities that people have. It's a little bit scary. The crow's going as well outside as I said that. Right, okay. They feel triggered by the things that you say. These are just little guidance prompts for you guys, so you're not surprised when these types of things start to rear their ugly heads in your life. Keeping their options open, but don't want you to know because you would move on from them, right? So this could be somebody keeping their options open but trying to make you think that you are their only option, okay? This might be where your elements of suspicion come through. And if I remember correctly, I saw the emotional manipulation card as well. So if you do find that somebody is emotionally manipulative or doing any of these tendencies, I would say that it's very important for you to educate yourself, because if you don't educate yourself on what types of abuses these things are, you can ultimately be going through these types of abuses and not ultimately understand that you're going through it because you have not educated yourself about what tendencies these people have and what people will do to ultimately gain control of your life and your narrative. So don't let people fool you, because people can pretend well, but their actions will ultimately tell you everything you need to know. Alchemy, turning your pain into gold. One of my favourite cards, especially when you go through like a really dark night of the soul. Sometimes you feel like in that darkness there's going to be nothing there to be able to refract some of the difficulties that you've been through, when in actual fact some of those difficulties have been set there on purpose for you to be able to elevate like a phoenix rising out of a problem, out of the flames, into being reborn into the beautiful person that you are becoming moving forward. So don't forget, with every bit of pain, most people look back on their life and they're very grateful for the pain that they went through, because what that ultimately does is deliver them to the new path that they are walking down in that present moment. Take time to appreciate the progress that you've made behind the scenes. So not everything is for consumption. You've probably done a lot of your work in the quiet, which ultimately makes it more beautiful and more special to me, because not everything does need an audience, and I find that quite difficult sometimes with people. Maybe I've even felt this myself at some point in my life, where I've thought like, oh, I've been through that very difficult time and I managed to be able to come out of it. I need to share that with people so they understand that they can get out of it too. Now, whilst I had that thought process when it comes down to things, I ultimately understood that that could have been my Hercules heel as well, because a lot of people like to know what your weaknesses are rather than understanding how you've got to the place where you have got. And rather than admiring that, sometimes people will find that to be something that irritates something within their soul. Usually when it irritates people, it's because there's something that really needs to be healed within them, and you are reflecting that pain within them. That's usually why a person gossips, because they are usually envious of the person who they're gossiping about, because that person has achieved a level of consciousness that the other person is wanting to obtain. So rather than looking at that person with admiration, they would choose to speak down against that person. So if you've been a victim of that, I want to send you a hug, but I also want you to understand that you've probably been placed on the earth to be a warrior through these types of situations, because I do genuinely believe that God doesn't give battles to people who can't deal with the battle, if that makes sense. You may not feel like that when you're going through it, but that's what I've come to understand. They keep telling some lies, but something just doesn't add up. So if there are people out here spinning narratives about you that are not exactly true, those people that are listening to that narrative knows there's something off. Usually when a person is gossiping to you and trying to spin a narrative about another person, it usually is because they have an agenda. But 9 times out of 10, you don't have to understand what that agenda is. All you need to understand is that sometimes you need to create polite distance between you and people who tend to do these types of things, because what is that saying? If you lay down and roll around in pig shit, then you become that. Don't be surprised if you roll around with people that gossip and do things that are quite provocative and mean-spirited towards other people. Don't be surprised if you are then cast and tarnished with the same brush as the people that you're choosing to place yourself around. Okay, so that's for some people who are cross-watchers and watching this. I have always loved you, I just ran away from my feelings. So somebody around you is definitely thinking about you, thinking about where they've gone wrong. I would say that have they gone wrong, it's probably just that they've not taken an opportunity when the opportunity presented itself at the time for a person. So somebody is definitely having some regretful feelings when it comes down to you as well, okay? Your spiritual gifts are really freaking them out. So you guys may be saying some things that are quite intuitive, and you may be just dropping these little bombs on somebody who may be thinking, oh, whatever type of thing. And then it's coming true. So yes, you are freaking people out with your spiritual gifts and how you're choosing to communicate those gifts. Keep freaking people out. It's a good thing to use your intuition, and it's a good thing to be connected with your higher minded ancestors and spirit guides always. You can't give from an empty cup. Make sure you make some time to nurture yourself. Self-love, massive thing. Like every time you're being there for everybody else, you need to make sure that you are ultimately being there for yourself, because your ultimate cheerleader is going to be the flame, the ignition from within your own soul. You can only place that there by you being encouraging of your own inner spark, staying vibrant, staying lit. And when you go around other people and they are ultimately wanting to take from you or emotionally manipulate you, you will not be able to keep on giving to this person or these people from an empty cup. So make sure that you are filling your cup, doing something for yourself first before you do things for other people. So with that being said, I would say that I've completed the reading for everybody. I hope that collectively this has been helpful for you all. If it has, please share, like, comment what your situation is. Where have I touched upon things for you? What guidance can you follow for yourself? And on top of it, remember, when you are commenting, a lot of other people can form an element of having a community. That's the whole reason why I do these collective readings, so everybody doesn't feel alone and everybody understands that we are all a part of a human hub. Okay, so yeah, I hope that you're all okay. Listen to this card, breathe, relax, and let shit go. And I will see you guys next week. Take care.